In 2010, there was this guy who spent 10,000 Bitcoin on 2 Papa John's pizzas.
Right, the legendary pizza transaction.
Yeah, exactly. And today, I mean, that same digital asset has a market cap of around $2 trillion.
Which is just wild to think about.
It really is. But here's the thing. The latest sentiment data shows that retail investors are, well, they're overwhelmingly bearish right now.
Yeah, they really are.
And institutional giants are legitimately terrified that a quantum computer is just going to break the network's cryptography.
It's a massive, massive shift in the landscape.
And oddly enough, the micro-level psychology that keeps you glued to, say, a 10-minute YouTube tutorial, that is exactly what explains this massive shift in global digital wealth.
Because we are looking at a fundamentally new paradigm for 2026.
Yeah.
You are seeing the complete industrialization of two totally invisible forces, right? Human attention and cryptographic math.
And we have a phenomenal stack of sources to guide you through this today. We're pulling the latest 2026 script optimization models from SAATH.
Which are fascinating.
They really are. Plus thumbnail psychology from Miraflow AI and search engine constraints from keyword tool Dominator.
Right.
And we are pairing all of that with historical chain analysis from Bitcoin Play, the new comparative tax regimes from CRF India, and institutional market data from ChainUp and Binance.
It is a really diverse set of materials today.
It is.
But they all converge on one critical theme, which is that the internet economy has, well, it's matured from this chaotic frontier into a highly structured, fiercely regulated machine.
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with the baseline currency of that machine, which is attention.
Right.
Because if you want to monetize the digital world, I mean, you have to capture focus first. But looking at these script models from SAATH, attention is no longer treated as something organic.
No, not at all.
It is a manufactured product.
Because the sheer volume of content out there just demands it, you know?
Yeah.
The structural guides we're looking at break a standard video down into a really rigid 5-part physiological trap.
The trap, yeah.
Literally. It starts with the hook in the first 5 to 10 seconds.
Right.
And you aren't building rapport here. You're arresting motor function.
Wow.
You are stopping the thumb from scrolling by delivering this bold claim or a pattern-breaking visual.
And then you move immediately into the retention bridge, right? Like from seconds 10 to 30.
Exactly.
Where you are giving the viewer a psychological roadmap. You're essentially making a contract with them about the value they're going to get if they just stay.
Yes, the promise of the video.
Right. And then comes the content body, which relies heavily on what they call open loops.
Which is arguably the most powerful tool in digital media today.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's based on the Zeigarnik effect.
Right, the psychological principle.
Yeah, dictating that the human brain just remembers uncompleted or interrupted tasks way better than completed ones.
Right.
So when you tease a piece of information but delay the payoff, you create this cognitive itch.
An itch you have to scratch.
Exactly. The brain releases dopamine in anticipation, and the viewer stays engaged simply to close that loop and relieve the psychological tension.
But you can't just string open loops together forever, right? I mean, the data shows you have to physically or verbally shift the energy every 60 to 90 seconds.
Yes, the pattern interrupts.
Right. A new camera angle, a sudden question, a change in lighting. It's honestly like building a roller coaster track.
That's a good way to put it.
You need those pattern interrupts every single minute just to keep the audience from getting motion sickness and tuning out entirely.
And the constraints are incredibly tight. Yeah. Like, consider the verbal limits.
Oh, the 150 words thing.
Right. The average person speaks at roughly 150 words per minute on camera while remaining comprehensible.
Okay.
That means a 10-minute video is mathematically bounded to about 1,500 words.
Which really isn't that much.
It's not. You don't have the luxury of filler. Every single sentence has to either open a loop, close a loop, or interrupt a pattern.
And it gets even more restrictive when you look at the metadata.
Oh, the SEO side of things.
Yeah, the search engine optimization data from keyword tool Dominator. It dictates that while platforms give you a 100-character limit for a title, your primary keyword absolutely must sit in the first 60 characters.
Or it just gets cut off.
Exactly. Anything past that gets truncated on mobile interfaces.
Right.
And you have 5,000 characters for a description, but only the first 125 dictate whether the algorithm categorizes you correctly.
Wow.
You are literally engineering text for a machine first and a human second.
But here's the kicker. All of that precision.
Yeah.
The perfectly paced 1,500-word script, the 60-character title optimization, it's all Entirely useless if the visual packaging doesn't trigger a click.
Ah, the visual hook.
Exactly.
The thumbnail data we have from Miraflow AI for 2026 shows these specific AI-generated psychological templates just dominating the feeds.
They are everywhere.
Right. For educational content, the standard is the clean creator close-up.
Right.
For SaaS platforms or tech tools, it is minimal object plus bold text.
I see that one all the time.
We all do. And if you are showing any kind of financial and personal growth, it is the chart and dashboard layout.
Right. And what's fascinating here is how standardized the visual language has become.
Yeah.
The brain uses these templates to rapidly categorize.
Wait, hold on. I have to challenge this a bit.
Okay, go for it.
If every single creator is relying on the exact same 10 AI-generated templates to minimize cognitive load, aren't we just creating a wall of optimized, identical clones?
That's a fair question.
Right, because if I scroll my feed and see 12 minimal object thumbnails in a row, how is that actually driving engagement? It seems like it would just create total visual fatigue.
And that is the exact paradox of the 2026 digital landscape.
Okay.
The formats are standardized so the brain can quickly categorize the content, like this is a tutorial or this is a software review.
Right.
But the context within that format has to be wildly novel to win the click.
Ah, I see.
Which is exactly why relying on standard stock footage has become a death sentence for retention.
The source materials heavily emphasize this.
They really do.
You have these massive repositories like Pexels offering CCO licenses, which are completely free, no attribution required.
Right.
Then you have sites like Dareful offering pure 4K cinematic shots, but they do require attribution.
Yeah.
But the golden rule across all of them is that you cannot just drop a stock clip into your timeline anymore.
You can't. It has to be transformative.
Right.
The algorithm, and honestly the viewer, are highly sensitive to visual repetition now.
They notice it immediately.
Exactly. So if you are using stock footage, you have to bypass the first page of search results entirely.
Dig deeper.
Right. You have to isolate specific elements, recolor them, composite them, or overlay motion graphics. You are taking a standardized, legally safe asset and engineering it into something completely proprietary.
So you are combining a mathematically optimized hook with a totally unique execution.
Precisely.
So if that is the formula for capturing digital attention, the currency of platforms, we need to pivot to the literal currency of the internet. We're talking about the transition from manufacturing digital attention to capturing and protecting digital wealth.
Right.
Bitcoin.
Moving from the psychology of artificial urgency to the mathematics of absolute scarcity.
And the historical data from Bitcoin Play is just staggering when you view it through a modern lens.
Oh, really is.
I mean, we all know the origins, right? The 2008 white paper, the anonymous creator Satoshi Nakamoto, the 21 million hard cap.
Right, with over 19.6 million already mined.
Exactly. But looking at the Genesis block from January 2009, there was that hidden text message embedded in the code.
Oh, I love this detail.
Yeah, it read, "The Times 03 Jan 2009 Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks."
Right.
It was a direct ideological shot at a failing traditional financial system.
It was designed as an exit strategy from fiat currency manipulation.
Yes.
And the genius of that exit strategy relies entirely on the mechanism of the halving.
Right, the block reward halving.
Every 210,000 blocks, which is roughly every 4 years, the reward given to the miners who secure the network is cut in half.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because we are well past the 2024 halving now.
Yeah, we are.
Meaning the reward is currently sitting at 3.125 Bitcoin per block.
Right. So by programmatically choking the new supply entering the market, while demand either holds steady or accelerates, the protocol enforces a scarcity that just cannot be altered by a central bank or a corporate board.
It's hard-coded.
Exactly. In a digital world where AI can infinitely generate text, thumbnails, and code, Bitcoin remains the only digital asset that is provably finite.
But, and this is a big but, the cost of proving that finiteness is massive.
It is.
The network consumes over 150 terawatt hours of electricity annually. That is more than some entire countries.
Right.
It is a highly controversial figure, even with the data showing over 50% of that energy now comes from renewable sources.
Right.
So how does burning that much power actually secure the wealth?
Well, that energy expenditure is the absolute essence of proof of work. The miners are not just churning electricity for the sake of it. They are running trillions of cryptographic calculations per second to guess a specific random number, which is called a nonce.
The nonce.
Right. And the first to guess it correctly gets to add the next block of transactions to the chain.
So it is essentially a global, high-stakes lottery happening every 10 minutes.
Precisely. And because every block is mathematically chained to the one before it, if an attacker wanted to reverse a transaction, say to steal funds,
Right.
they would have to re-mine that block, and every single block that came after it faster than the rest of the honest network combined.
Which is impossible.
The sheer electrical and computational cost of doing that makes the network economically impenetrable.
Which makes it the most secure ledger on Earth, but that security is a massive double-edged sword for the user.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there is no customer service department to call if you make a mistake.
Nope, none.
The data highlights these infamous lost fortunes. You have James Howells, who accidentally threw a hard drive containing 8,000 Bitcoin into a landfill in Wales.
Oh, that story is painful.
He's spent a decade trying to excavate a city dump.
Yeah.
Or Stefan Thomas, the programmer who lost the password to an IronKey drive holding 7,002 Bitcoin.
Oh, wow.
Leaving him with exactly 2 password guesses left before the drive auto-erases forever.
It really underscores the ultimate reality of decentralization, you know?
Yeah.
Absolute financial freedom requires absolute personal responsibility.
And that brings us to the fascinating reality of the market right now, in mid-2026.
Right.
Because if Bitcoin is this ultimate scarce asset, this immutable digital gold, the broader market is currently experiencing a massive identity crisis.
Yeah, it really is.
The institutional analysis from ChainUp refers to this as the Great Decoupling.
Because for a decade, the dominant narrative was that physical gold and digital gold were twin assets.
Right.
When inflation rises, or when geopolitical stability fractures, capital should flow into both of them as a hedge against disaster.
Makes sense on paper.
But as we see in the 2026 data, that correlation has violently shattered.
Physical gold has absolutely skyrocketed. It broke $5,300 an ounce.
It is shattering all-time records.
Meanwhile, Bitcoin is hovering around $88,000.
Right.
Which sounds high, but that is roughly 30% below its late 2024 peak of $108,000. So why the sudden split?
Institutional capital has finally categorized them differently.
Okay.
Gold has become the ultimate geopolitical bunker. It is physical, it is inert. Central banks and sovereign wealth funds are hoarding it because you cannot sanction a gold bar sitting in a vault in a neutral country.
Right.
Bitcoin, conversely, is acting less like a bunker and more like a liquidity sponge.
It's like gold is the bomb shelter you sprint toward during a total system collapse, but Bitcoin is a high-performance race car.
That's a great way to think about it.
It needs a perfectly smooth track, meaning massive global market liquidity, easy credit, and low interest rates to hit its top speed.
Exactly.
When the economy's printing money, Bitcoin absorbs that excess capital. But when there is genuine systemic fear, people run back to the bomb shelter.
And in 2026, there is a very specific, highly technical fear driving them to that physical bunker.
The quantum threat.
Yes.
The institutional reports highlight these urgent warnings from custodians that nearly 1/3, actually 32.7%, of all Bitcoin in existence is theoretically vulnerable to emerging quantum computer attacks.
It is a massive concern.
But wait, over 30% of a $2 trillion asset class is vulnerable. How is that even possible if the network is supposedly economically impenetrable?
Well, it comes down to how early addresses were formatted.
Okay.
When Bitcoin first launched, transactions used a script called P2PK, or pay to public key.
Right.
If you used one of these early addresses, your cryptographic public key was fully exposed on the blockchain.
I see.
Modern addresses use a hash, which is like a mathematical disguise, so the public key is hidden until the exact moment you spend the funds.
And why does an exposed public key matter to a quantum computer?
Because of Shor's algorithm.
Okay.
A classical computer would take billions of years of trial and error to guess the private key from an exposed public key.
Right.
But a sufficiently powerful quantum computer can solve the underlying math problem, which is finding the prime factors almost simultaneously.
Wow.
If an adversary boots up a quantum machine capable of running Shor's algorithm, those legacy addresses holding millions of early Bitcoin could be drained instantly.
That perfectly explains the Binance user sentiment data.
It really does.
You have 74.55% of retail users reporting they are very bearish on Bitcoin for 2026, largely driven by this macro anxiety.
Right.
But simultaneously, long-term technical forecasts project the asset reaching $244,204 by 2050.
Yes.
Assuming the network successfully upgrades its cryptography to be quantum resistant.
And you also have to factor in geographical context.
Right, like the WZIR-X data from India.
Exactly. It shows Bitcoin trading around 6.1 million rupees.
Okay.
And that price action is heavily dictated by the strength of the US dollar against the rupee, meaning investors in emerging markets are using it as a hedge against local currency devaluation, regardless of quantum anxiety.
So we have massive volatility, technological threats, and shifting use cases. How is the industry actually adapting to all of this?
By building fortresses.
Fortresses.
Yeah, we are seeing the rise of DACCOs, digital asset treasury companies.
Okay.
These are enterprise-grade firms pivoting away from purely holding the asset and hoping for price appreciation. They're building the infrastructure.
Right, because base layer Bitcoin uses proof of work. You can't just stake it to earn a yield like other networks.
Exactly. So these DACCOs are generating revenue by providing enterprise custody solutions, routing payments through Layer 2 networks like the Lightning Network, and wrapping Bitcoin to be deployed in decentralized finance protocols.
Wow.
They're transforming a speculative asset into a functional revenue-generating rail.
They are maturing the technology.
Yeah.
And you know what happens the second a technology matures and generates massive wealth?
The tax man cometh.
The governments of the world step in.
The inevitable formalization of the digital frontier.
And the global comparative mapping from CRF India on how different countries tax crypto is mind-blowing.
It's completely fractured.
Because it shows a world completely fractured on what this asset actually is. Let's look at India first.
Okay.
The regime is highly punitive. They categorize it as a virtual digital asset and hit it with a flat 30% tax on gains.
Wow.
And you cannot offset your losses against other income streams.
That is harsh.
On top of that, there is a 1% tax deducted at source on every transfer, and they recently added an 18% GST on exchange trading fees.
Yeah, that is a policy engineered to maximize state revenue extraction while intentionally suffocating casual retail speculation.
It really is.
It treats the asset almost like a vice.
Contrast that with the United States, the IRS treats it as property. You pay standard capital gains based on your income bracket and how long you held the asset.
Simple enough.
But the major shift for 2026 is surveillance. They are implementing the new Form 1099-DA, which forces brokers to report every transaction directly to the government, and they are making the first-in, first-out cost basis mandatory.
Right.
They aren't trying to ban it, they are just building a much tighter net.
But then you look at Japan, which has arguably the most hostile framework for wealth generation.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Crypto gains are classified as miscellaneous income. Depending on your tax bracket, you can be taxed up to 55%.
55%.
Wow. And crucially, there is no carry forward for losses. If you lose everything in a bear market, the government offers no relief the following year.
55% with no safety net. That is brutal.
It is.
But then on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have Germany.
The ultimate outlier.
Yeah, they apply a consumer relief philosophy. If you hold your crypto for more than 1 year, the tax on your capital gains drops to 0%. Nothing.
Which is incredible. And we are also seeing emerging markets rapidly shift their stances, too.
Right.
Brazil is trying to protect the working class by offering an exemption threshold. You owe nothing unless your monthly crypto profits exceed 35,000 Brazilian reals.
That makes sense.
Meanwhile, Pakistan just formally legalized digital asset trading, but they immediately slapped a flat 15% capital gains tax on it to satisfy revenue demands from the IMF.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now?
Right.
How does a truly global, decentralized, mathematically enforced currency survive when every single jurisdiction treats it completely differently?
Well, if we pull back and look at the macro picture, tax regimes are never just about balancing budgets.
Okay.
They are ideological mirrors.
Ideological mirrors.
Yeah. India and Pakistan are prioritizing immediate revenue mobilization and tight capital controls.
All right.
Germany is actively incentivizing long-term savings and attempting to attract technological innovators by rewarding the people who hold the asset. And Japan is focused on extreme investor protection by heavily disincentivizing volatile trading.
But the underlying through line, the one thing tying all these disparate policies together, is that the era of benign neglect is over.
Exactly.
Despite the wildly differing rules, not a single major government is ignoring this anymore.
The Wild West phase of the digital economy has officially closed.
Yeah, it has.
Governments have recognized the permanence of this asset class, and they have built the institutional plumbing to monitor, track, and extract value from it.
Which really brings this entire exploration into the 2026 economy full circle.
It does.
Because whether you are a digital content creator meticulously engineering open loops and 60-character metadata to capture a few minutes of human attention,
Right.
or you are an institutional fund manager navigating quantum cryptography threats and global tax frameworks to protect a digital treasury,
Yeah.
you are playing a game with incredibly deep, unforgiving structural rules.
You cannot operate on intuition anymore. You are either engineering the system or the system is engineering you.
And that leaves us with a genuinely provocative concept for you to consider as we wrap up today.
Oh, this is a big one.
We spent the first half of this deep dive breaking down how artificial intelligence can perfectly map human psychology, generating our scripts, designing our thumbnails, and basically holding our attention hostage.
Right.
And then we spent the second half unpacking the maturation of a decentralized trillion-dollar digital currency that operates entirely without human managers.
So the question you have to ask yourself looking ahead is this.
Yeah.
How long until those same autonomous AI agents are the primary entities holding, securing, and trading Bitcoin on quantum-proof networks, bypassing human taxation, human psychology, and human limitations entirely?
Autonomous algorithms capturing our attention to earn digital currency only to trade that currency among themselves on an immutable ledger.
Exactly.
That is a heavy, fascinating reality to sit with, and it's the perfect place to leave it for today. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the mechanics of the digital economy. Keep questioning the algorithms around you, keep looking for those open loops, and we'll catch you on the next one.